Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are back with the second session of the security series by Neha Bharadwaj. So the first session was on application level security, and today the second part, that is platform security. Let me introduce our speaker today. For this session, we have Neha Bharadwaj as a speaker. So she is the director of solutions in StackNexus Inc. and she is an architect and a technology enthusiast. She has been mentoring so many Salesforce aspirants who are planning to shift their career from the different technologies in the software industry to Salesforce, and she is a great mentor in mentoring in all the stuff related to Salesforce, and she also guides very well in the uh, in uh, in the paths of any aspirants. So she is an awesome community speaker, and if you haven't gone through the previous session of Neha, like which was on application level security, you should definitely go through that. Like it is very knowledgeable session because I personally liked the session very much because there's a lot more we can explore from that session, and in this session we'll also get a chance, if we get a chance, we will also have a hands-on on the or on the security topics. And she's very active in the community initiatives, and you can follow and connect Neha Bharadwaj on Twitter at Bharadwaj084 Neha, and you can connect with her on LinkedIn on Neha Bharadwaj. So, a small intro about myself. I represent myself as a Salesforce student ambassador for Anits Visakhapatnam Group, and I'm 2x Salesforce certified. And currently, I'm a internet cloud base. You can follow me on Twitter at APSB Vaishnav and on LinkedIn Anantpalli PSB Vaishnav. And coming to Gurgaon Developer Group details, it came into existence in Jan 2013, and this Twitter handle like Gurgaon underscore SFDC is the Twitter handle for Gurgaon Group, where you will be getting all the necessary details and information about what all the sessions are being conducted in the particular month or date. So we are very active on Twitter as well, and you can mention Gurgaon Developer Group with the hashtags hashtag Gurgaon DG and Trailblazer Community Gurgaon, so that it will be easy for us to identify the tweets which are being posted in Twitter while the sessions are being going on. We also you can join our community group with the below Trailblazer community group link, and we'll be sharing this in the chat box as soon as I stop the presentation. And for any session recordings, and you can also we have created a playlist for all the sessions, like if it is related to something. If now we are having a series of security sessions, so we have created a separate playlist for security sessions. So you can find that on the Salesforce Developer Group Gurgaon YouTube channel. We also have a Telegram channel with the name Gurgaon Developer Group. So there you will get all the updates regarding the sessions, and uh, there we also have discussions related to the doubts where when trailblazers feel when they are facing while doing some hands-on on the org. So this is all about the Gurgaon Developer Group and our speaker. So thank you very much. Now I request Nia to take over and start the session.
Hey Vaishnav, hey Vishal. Thanks everyone for joining, and thank you Vaishnav for such an amazing introduction. When that was really nice to hear. Some of it, I don't know what to say about it, but altogether, thank you so much for introducing in such a beautiful way. Now coming back to our security session, let me quickly share the slide, and then we will start up with that. So, guys, I could see that a lot of you were not in the previous session, and since Vaishnav has already spent quite some time talking about the group and talking about me, so I'll quickly want to give you a glance on what we discussed last time. And before I start, I would want to apologize if you think I'm a little down and not able to communicate my best. Let me know. We can always run back to you guys with more details. But a little down with fever. I'll try my level best, but let me know if you want me to explain anything further. I'll take that up. So, as far as our previous session was concerned, what we discussed there was more why security was important. And let me quickly move to that slide. There you go. So this is basically what we covered in the last session. We got the hang of security, why security is important, something is what we actually dwelled upon, and what are the different aspects of security that Salesforce comprise of or focuses on. That's what we discussed. We actually discussed the application level security features, which comes out of the box in Salesforce. That is what is being held here. We were to discuss sharing rules, OWD, field audit, and encryption, but due to time constraints, we're going to cover these four topics today. We were not able to commit them in the last session, so we'll come to that definitely. And of course, I'll quickly give a brief of what we discussed. So actually what we discussed in last session was how to control the access or the CRUD permissions through the profiles and permission sets. That's what the focus was upon. And I really wanted to share with all of you all, specifically the people who did share or did attend the last session, this particular matrix that I always use whenever I design this solution. This is the best way I find to capture the requirements related to my security. So what I generally do, or what this is also I've seen a lot of other people using in the industry using. So this is here in this particular columns, you mention all the profiles that you want to give access to. And these are the different objects that you would want to give access on. And while you're going through the requirements with your clients about the securities, how you capture this is, suppose your client says that, and this example, this particular example that I've taken here is for the time management, time card management system. All of you all are working somewhere, or are going to work somewhere. You would know that whenever you work, you have to note how many hours, or capture how many hours have you worked in the week, and on what items have you worked. So this is basically what this solution is all about, and how and who can access what record in the system, but pertaining to that. So if you see that HR managers in the system can see any, they can create, read, update, and view all the employees. But what they cannot do is they cannot modify all. So we did discuss why not modify all and what are the workarounds there. So I'll not dwell into that, but this is how we have captured this requirement. Whereas if you see, the team leads can only view all employees. They are not supposed to create any new employee record. They cannot, basically they cannot update it. They can just simply view it. So that's what it is about. Now the project managers, if you look at it, they have, or account executive that you see here, have a similar permission. They do not have create, read, and update on the account. They can just view it. Now coming to the project, this is what a HR manager can view the project, but they do not have the capacity or the capability to perform any other CRUD operation on it. Whereas if you see, the project managers can create, okay, they can read and they can update, of course, and they can, of course, view all. And whereas if you see the team lead, they can read their own records and they can view all the records out there, but they cannot edit and create. And account executive, of course, being the masters, they are pretty much able to do anything. We haven't given modify all again. Seeing the constraint that we discussed. If you guys were not present in the last session, I would highly uh, recommend that you go back and look at that session about the details that we covered about modify all, that had some really good, interesting facts about that. So this is how you have to design your solution. This is how you capture. So this is at the object level. Similarly, at the field level, you should also always create a matrix to keep things simplified and not in the textual manner. Always create again the profiles, and here again the objects, and then that this is more about the, you see the CRUDs. This is more about the object level permission. For the field level access, how you'd like, right? Read, write, and then read, write. I'm sorry, excuse me, guys. Just 1 second, please. So once you're designing, sorry, so once you're designing the solution for the field level thing, you would write like you only have one. So say on the employee on the employee profile or the employee profile a person or the manager person, for example, a manager, project manager on the employee can only have read on all the fields. Whereas if you would look at the account executive for another example, would have view all permission. I would say the all read and edit permission on the time card, all the fields. And what would be the exception? How would you hold the exception in that solution? Would be, read and edit except the employment history. So basically, what I mean to say here, account executives on the project can read can read every field, can edit every field, except I would say the project start date and the money that is involved in the project. How was the bid against the project. So maybe except that the account executive can read every other details around it. So maybe you can say read and edit all fields, and then in the bracket maybe you can specify except the price or accept the end date. Everything is visible. So this is how you capture. You have to always, what I'm trying to emphasize upon is never have your security requirements lied down in a normal text format. Try to convert it into a tabular fashion so that it is structured and easy to implement rather. That's what the suggestion is, or this is what I really quickly wanted to show you guys. Now let's come to the next thing, which is going to be the focus of today. Today we're going to be covering, or at least try to cover these particular things. So OWD, role hierarchies, implicit sharing, sharing rules, view all data permission, manual sharing, modify all data permission, and encryption. This is going to be the agenda for today. So while I start into it or dwell into it, though, I would reiterate that Salesforce security model, it basically starts with the controls associated with your objects and associated fields, and then the records created with a given object. So it basically it would start with your object and fields, and then eventually you will look into the record type, record level of access. You would not directly look into the records, and that's what we discussed last time. Now the Salesforce objects, which you say is the standard objects, they are provided as a part of SaaS solution, or the Salesforce object could be your custom objects that a user might have created for a particular solution inside the platform only. You all are aware of it. The part to notice here is whether it's standard or whether it's custom, you have to look at profile and permission sets to control the CRUDs. That's where your basics lie. Now, once you have said that, once you have understood that concept, the next thing to look into is the org-wide defaults. That's what the focus should be, org-wide defaults. Now, what does org-wide defaults do for you? Org-wide defaults basically tells you how the user of the system access an object. Okay, it does not. So if you look at when you look at a profile and when you have given the read, write, edit permissions there, that is more about if you can create, read, or edit on the object level. Whereas when you look at an organization wide default, you're specifically coming to the record, what you can do to a record in the system. It is now jumping from the object to the record with the help of the OWD. I'm sorry. So org-wide default setting, they basically classify how the user of the system access the object, as I said. Now the OWD should be set to support the most restrictive level of access you expect for the user with the least access. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you believe that even if there's a single user in your system exists that you do not want to show your data to or show your data to, which is the least restrictive thing for you in the system, in that case, you're going to go and set your OWD according to that. Okay. Again, even if one single user exists in your system who do not need to see your data, or you do not want to expose data to the even a one person in the system, then you're going to use OWD, which is most restrictive. Okay, that's what the basis of OWD is. Now, coming back to what I was saying, so in other words, set the OWD to limit the most restricted user in the system. If you want everyone who uses the system to see every record on a given object, set the OWD to public for that object. However, to restrict the data for any record in the object, set the OWD for private for that particular object. Again, this is per object. You cannot have your OWD, and I believe that most of you would already know it. You cannot set OWD at the org wide. Okay, it's not org wide as it says, it's the object wide per org. Okay, so you have to set it explicitly for each object, and most of the objects does have an option to select OWD. Again, there are exceptions. We did discuss it last time. You would not find it for the detail objects. So in the master detail site, you will not find that option for that, but otherwise you'll find OWD and you can set it for every other object. Now, Salesforce basically has three kind of, primarily I would say three OWD setting: public read write, public read only, and private, for both the standard and the custom ones. Okay, and on the top of it, sorry, on the top of it, there is there are some additional things that you would want to know, and it's good to know the exceptions always. So Salesforce supports two additional options. The first is public full access for the standard campaign object. Okay, whenever you're looking at the campaign object, what other than public read write, public read only, and private you get is basically you get public full access. That's for your campaign object. And also read write transfer. Okay, this is another new option that you would see in OWD: read write transfer for the lead object. Okay, and then again for the case, similarly for the case you would find read write and transfer. Okay, now one more important thing, the Salesforce standard price object. Okay, there's a price object which comes along with the SaaS platform implementation that uses no access and view only. Okay, and uses OWD setting to support their use. So another important exception that I shared with you is about the price object. Always keep it in mind, it has no access and view only. Okay, this is something about the price. So these were few exceptions about OWD. And where do you set your OWD? You have to search for sharing settings in your setup. There you would find the OWD section. Okay, that's where you find these settings. Now, again, the how do you decide, how do you determine what your OWD should be? Okay, ask yourself three questions, and hear me out very carefully. These three questions summarizes anything and everything around your OWD settings. Number one, the first question that an architect should ask before setting an OWD for an object is, which group or user has the most restriction on viewing and creating records of the data in object? Again, it may seem repetitive, but extremely important to understand which user or which group has the most restrictive access to a record. Okay, if you say that there exists a group which which is such restrictive that he even can't view the records, then you would go ahead and mark it as private. Okay, and if you believe, and again, this is not the only criteria, but this is how you step up the ladder. And even if you believe that the most restrictive is that the most restrictive that you have is you allow people to see, but the restriction that you have it, you don't allow everybody to edit it. Okay, if that is the case, then what would you give? You might want to give public read only. Okay, this is how you process it. And again, this is the first step in the ladder. Now the second question, after analyzing who has the most restrictive view and create record data in the object, once you understand that part, write it down, jot it down in a matrix. And then the second question that you ask per object again is, should the user from the first question be prevented from seeing any of the record in the object? If yes, simply set the OWD to private. As I said, the first step was just a step up in the ladder. How do you finally decide if it's private or not? Simple question. Should the user from the first question be prevented from seeing any record? Okay, do I not want this person to see anything in the system about this particular object? I don't want a particular group of user or a particular user, say Neha. I have a user called Neha in my system, and I do not want her to see any of the account in the system. In that particular case, what will I do? I will set account as private. Okay, none of the account is visible to her. It's simply private. Now, if you believe the answer to your second question is no, what would you do? You will ask the third question. Should the user from the first question be prevented from editing a given record? If yes, set the OWD to public read only. Okay, else set the OWD to public read write. Again, I will explain the third. So since you said this person, if this person or if Neha is not supposed to see any account, straightforward, mark it private. And if that is not the case, no, Neha should be able to see, she should be seeing accounts. That is fine. The other question that you should be asking to your users, or to the person who's giving you the requirement, is if another user or the same user, okay, the answer, or the user from the first group who has the most restrictive access, the Neha was in our case has the most restrictive access. So the next question you ask is whether she should be able to edit anything or not. Okay, if the answer to that question is no, she shouldn't be editing anything, straightforward. We did not mark it private because she could see the records, but we are going to mark it public read only because she cannot edit. And even the question number 3 turns out to be no, in that particular case, we will go ahead and mark it public read write. Straightforward. 3 questions answered and your OWD is set to be marked. Okay. And then try to always create a matrix for each object if possible in the system again for the OWD setting. Now, having said that, I'm sorry, access to individual records for a given object is basically controlled by sharing model or the ownership of the record. That's this thing that I just spoke of. We did discuss it in detail already. What I'm trying to emphasize upon here is the whole architecture of Salesforce security is driven out of who owns a particular record in the first place. The ownership of the record is extremely important, and we did discuss I'm sorry, how it can impact everything down the line. Who has the ownership impacts everything related to the visibility of that particular record. We did discuss it last time in details. Okay, but again, recommends you to go back and hear that recording. That would give you more insight into it basically. uh, Once you understand the ownership, okay, who owns the record and who all can own a record at a particular time, and what are the privileges, for example, viewing, editing, transferring, changing ownership and deleting a record that comes with the ownership of a record. Once you understand that, the other important thing that you would want to understand is the role hierarchy. Okay, hierarchy. So granting access using the hierarchies is the next thing that you would want to understand. So you have given your OWDs, okay? Your record level access did start from here. You decided that, you account cannot be accessed by everyone, so private. And again, you had some custom objects that you have created in the system. They were public read, right? You did define that. You had your OWD set up now, and you know that of course with the help of your profiles and permission, who could create, who could own a particular kind of a record. You have that understanding by far once you have profile permission sets and OWD defined in your system. Now, how do you open up your record sharing? Okay, how does role hierarchy impacts it? Okay, now basically Salesforce role hierarchy automatically grants access to the records owned by users below them in the hierarchy by default. Okay, so I want access, or I would have access to any record in the system, in the Salesforce org, that any of my subordinate has access to. Okay, if I manage 4 people and I have defined the role hierarchy in such a way that they fall under me inside Salesforce, okay, inside Salesforce, if they fall under me in the role hierarchy where I've set up everything, I will see and I can do whatever these 4 people can do to the records. Okay, whatever they can see, whatever they can edit, whatever they can update, I can also do that. Okay, understood. That's what role hierarchy is about. It gives you one level above. I'm sorry. So with OWD, you did say that it's private. Only the people who owns the account would be able to see the accounts. Whereas with role hierarchy, what happened? This changed. Now, not only the owners, as per the OWD, would be able to see the accounts, whereas the people who are above in the hierarchy, if role hierarchy is defined in the system, okay, above in the hierarchy, they will be able to access it in the similar fashion as the owners would be. Okay, extremely important to understand. Now, quick thing before I get into or I jump to the next thing. There was one question number one in our previous sessions. That Kahoot answer to that question was incorrect, and we did notified, and we replied to the YouTube where we have uploaded the YouTube. We have marked the correct answer there, and one of the attendees did point that out, and thanks to that attendee. Thank you
Uh,
so much for pointing
Neha,
that
so, Neha, sorry to interrupt you.
out.
The attendee's name was Sonam Mittal, and I think Sonam is available in today's session.
Lovely, great. Thank you, Sonam. And I did get a chance to talk to her personally, and thanks for pointing that out, that the question was marked incorrectly. Though I think after recalculating, the winner remains the same, just so that you guys know. Okay, coming back to what that question was and what I'm going to be sharing with you is Salesforce standard objects. Okay, so the hierarchy, the way the records can be accessed using role hierarchy can be changed for the custom object, but they cannot be changed for the standard object, basically. Okay, Salesforce standard object, the role hierarchy cannot be changed or access. I'm sorry, it looks like a puzzle for me now again. So what I'm trying to say here is for the Salesforce standard objects, you cannot change the fact that they can or can if they can be viewed through the hierarchy or not. Okay, if they are opened up through the role hierarchy, whereas for the customs you can go to the sharing settings, and where you do your OWD, in the right hand there's a last column in the right hand where you set your OWDs, where you can control I'm sorry guys, where you can control the role hierarchy, access to the role hierarchy. And for the standard, again, that cannot be changed. For the custom, you can. Now you will have the instances, and I will share it with you guys in the end. When I said in the last session it's tricky, it really is tricky, and you would face the scenarios where you would want that to be changed. Okay, you would not want things to be shared through the role hierarchy, and what you can do in that case for standard, how to resolve that problem. I'll try to share that solution with you guys, but I'll keep it for the end. Now let's let's have a quick look at the record owner, as a few people are new in the session. So record ownership, it's a starting point of visibility and sharing within Salesforce. Record ownership allows a given user to view the assigned record per the user profile and assigned permission set. The entire record access infrastructure in Salesforce, I've been again and again emphasizing, is built around the record ownership. You understand record ownership, you pretty much understand the whole base of your security. Okay, and now I'm sorry. Now let's look into the other aspect of it, and then maybe we will understand how everything else plays in the role. But we saw that how ownership impacts role hierarchy. So I own a record, anybody above me in the hierarchy would have the same kind of access to that record that I have. So that's how role hierarchy played important role, or ownership played important role over here. Now let's see how sharing rules and ownership blends. Okay, what sharing rules are and how they blend. So sharing rules are used to create exceptions to your OWD setting. Again, so role hierarchy implicit gave some access outside what you defined in your OWD. That was like you defined hierarchy, implicitly taking care of certain things, and the records were opened up to be seen by anyone and everyone above my hierarchy. Now, what else you can do? Say, I do not. I want access to some records. Or that the people under me, the four people I initially said, Neha had four subordinates. Whatever those subordinate has access to has already been given access to me through the role hierarchy. But I do have some requirement which makes me eligible to see some records which are not owned by people who are right below the hierarchy in me. Okay, that's not the case. They're outside my hierarchy and I still need to see that. What do you do in that case? Okay, in that particular case, you go by the sharing rule. That's your next stop. Okay, so if OWD didn't help, role hierarchy didn't help as an architect to you, in order to give the access, next resort for you is going to be the sharing rules. That's where you look into. Okay, and again, as I said, this is you will use to create exception to your OWD. And now, having said that, there are two type of sharing rules very well known by most of you already. I would say very, very popularly being used by the Ohana and all the admins, I would say. So first is the ownership based and the other one is going to be the criteria based. Two type of sharing rules. Okay. So I will not get into the a lot of details about these. You guys must have been using it, but a couple of important facts that you must know. First, with a small definition, when you talk about ownership-based sharing rules, and ownership-based sharing rules open up access to records owned by a specific user. Okay, I'll just throw an example for you. Say a company's manager need to see records owned by managers in a different role hierarchy. Okay, so as I said, I'm a manager. I had four subordinates, but I'm not interested in the data. Okay, what I'm interested in Vishal's data, who is a manager in a different hierarchy. Okay, he doesn't fall in my hierarchy at all. He's altogether in a different hierarchy. I want to see his record. What would I do? I would create a ownership based sharing rules, sharing rule. And what would be my criteria, or not the criteria, what would I say in that rule? The share the records with Neha, where the user who owns the record is Vishal. Okay, as simple as that. And I would be able to see everything which Vishal has access to. Okay, that's kind of a one thing. Now coming to the criteria based rules. Now criteria based rules are more around the fields, I would say, the field values. And the example would be, say you have a custom object with some custom pick list field value. Okay, so I just want all the managers, or rather pick this, in the service cloud, it's very common to have case and different origins are associated. So maybe whenever the origin of case is email, okay, it should be visible by all the analysts. Okay, and if it's telephone, it should be only visible to the individual one which created it. Okay, so what will I do in that case? I will set the OWD to private. Okay, since because there is at least one case where I would want to see only my data and I would not want to expose it to anyone else. So OWD would be private, but I'll go ahead and create a sharing rule where I would say whenever the value of the origin is going to be, I'm sorry, whenever the value of the origin field on case is going to be the email, I would expose it to a group of all the analysts, or a queue maybe. Okay, that's a public group or queue. I can expose it there. Again, I'll not get into the details of there. What I want to share with you is something that an architect would want to share with you. Okay, so the most important thing that you have to understand is there is a limitation on OBS. Okay, so whenever you're creating ownership based sharing, you cannot have more than 1,000 OBS rules per object. You cannot have that. And again, it's huge. I know it's a big number, but it's good to know the number. Per object, no more than 1,000 OBSs can be created, ownership based. And again, or when you come to the CBS, which is your criteria based rules, no more than 50 CBS rules per object. which becomes a problem at times in bigger enterprise level projects. If your solutioning is not good and if you're using sharing rules to expose anything and everything, and you're not thinking through your solution, you would end up having a lot of sharing rules. Okay, specifically when you're working with accounts which is shared across the enterprise, and or maybe cases and the opportunities which are shared across the enterprise. In that particular case, what a lot of people end up doing is, what a lot of admins end up doing is creating a lot of sharing rules. Okay, so please review your solution, please think through your solution, because you can only have 50 CBSS rules per object. You cannot have more than that. Of course, again, star applied in as in most of the cases when we talk about Salesforce, you can get this limit extended. Okay, you can always request Salesforce to extend this limit of 50 CBS, but you have to give them justification around it. And you have to also tell them why using the other ways, why not optimizing your solution using the other methods that are given can solve your problem, and you only need sharing rules, which generally is very difficult to give. Looking at how vast the options are given, you can definitely manage with much lesser than sharing rules what admins at the end of the day end up creating. So just review your solution. I'm sorry. Again, a couple of more thing. Uh, I'm sorry. A couple of more things about this sharing rules. There is one more kind of a sharing rule, which I'll be sharing. Maybe I would want to wait until some time, but I'll give you a quick glance around here. There is something that you would want to understand: account territory sharing rule. This is another type of a sharing rule. Can you have heard about the two that I spoke about? The criteria and ownership base. These are popular. Account territory sharing rules are not that popular, but as I have seen in at least my career while designing the solution, a lot of admin end up creating a lot of sharing rules around accounts specifically. So a lot of other things come handy when specifically when you're working with accounts. Do not try to create sharing rules around accounts. Look for the other option that we will discuss shortly. Okay, and then of course this account territory sharing rules also comes handy to you guys. So just a glance here, we will talk about it soon. Now, coming back to this, I'm sorry, let's have a glance into what manual sharing is. Okay, and a very quick glance over here. Manual sharing is used to grant users access to specific records when other automated methods, they're not available, or if the sharing is a one-off action required by the record owner or a role hierarchy user. What I mean to say here is you did try OWD. Okay, you restricted or you open up as you wanted here. It didn't work out for you. You wanted to give something extra. You tried to use role hierarchy. Maybe the way we showed an example. People under me, 4 people under me. I wanted to see their records. Role hierarchy came to the rescue. Then I had some requirement which even were not satisfied with role hierarchy. I went ahead and created a sharing rule where I could see Vishal's data. Whatever Vishal owns, I can see that. So that's where the sharing rule came into the picture. I did try other methods, okay, but nothing is coming to my resort. I still want something to be shared. And that's where the manual sharing comes into the picture. Okay, and also one of the off cases where maybe I'll just throw an example. I am from, maybe I'm from the India team and I own an account, okay, and somebody say from the team USA, or my counterpart in USA wants a quick glance at the account because he is going to meet him for the new opportunity. Okay, so I don't want to give him full access to this account, or I don't want him to have as much as access I have, so I'm not going to share with him permanently this record. My admin is not going to create something which shares this record permanently with him, but I have an option to quickly manually share it using a button. He could have the access for as long as I want this person to have access, and then I can take that access back. Okay, this is what manual sharing is about. It's as simple as clicking on a button. Sharing, previously it was not available in Lightning. Now it's available in Lightning too, but the only constraint that you have to remember that I've written over here is manual shares are available only for accounts, opportunity cases, contact leads, and custom object in Lightning experience. Okay, so custom is understood. It comprises of everything that you create custom. As far as standard, just remember these five things. Okay, the base, the bread and butter of your Salesforce, I would say the account, opportunity, cases, contacts, and leads. This is what you can use manual sharing for as far as Lightning is concerned till date. Okay, and again, this would change. Maybe I would say by last year you could not even have access to them, to the manual sharing from the Lightning at all. But now this soon I think Salesforce will come up with more features. So having said that, let's move to the next thing. Uh, View all data permission, modify all data permission. Again, we did talk about it in the last session, but again, as the name suggests, it's pretty much clear from here that whenever you give the system permission, view all data permission at the system level. Okay, in the system permissions, if you give it, not for the object I'm talking about. In the previous section, we did talk about view all and modify all, which you get in a per object, you said. This one, when I'm talking about it, it's when you define the profile level in the system permission, you can define this view all data permission and modify all. So if you give that, this person can view anything and everything in the system. Okay, irrespective of what OWD is, what OWD says, it would not care. It would be able to view anything. Okay, and then modify all data permission. Again, it doesn't matter what your OWD says, modify all data permission would any person who has the system permission, okay, would be able to modify anything and everything. And these two can be set up through the profiles, or it can be set up through the permission sets. Okay, so this is it. Implicit sharing, we did talk about it in the last session already, so I will not get into the implicit sharing. Encryption, I will come to shortly, but encryption, again, we have two kind of encryptions. One is your standard encryption on the fields, the custom fields that you have been using, the masking techniques. Okay, that's what. And then there is a Salesforce Shield. Okay, which is amazingly superb thing, and you should all go through it. It can be a topic or a session in itself, so it would be difficult for me to share all the details around it, but do go through Salesforce Shield. It's an extremely important and interesting topic, and a good read, definitely. Now let's review what we just went through. This is the classic diagram of sharing and visibility. You have OWD, you have role hierarchies, sharing rules, and then again manual sharing. And this is how your visibility opens up. This is how it is. And at the core of it here lies the ownership. Okay, so ownership, and then everything is driven outside it. And again, implicit sharing, if you talk about that, also lies over here only. Now, one more thing I quickly wanted to discuss with you guys. I will see in the next session, if we will have time, we will go in details around it. But there's one more option which is called programmatic or Apex managed sharing, which also comes very handy to the developers when they run out of every other option. Nothing helped you out from here. Okay. It's not as simple scenario as we discussed, and it's something extremely complex. It is the amalgamation of, maybe it's not just the case origin which drives who can see it, but maybe, five other factor, which area this case. So maybe it is a web, but from which area this came. Okay, depending upon that, it is shared by the people, not just one field, maybe multiple fields, maybe other kind of, maybe the owner also plays into the role. Something that you want to do where your owner also matters, and also what matters is your field value, the combination of two. Something complex which cannot be handled through these. Okay, these things can be handled again through the programmatic or Apex managed sharing. Okay, that's something that I will see if we can dwell in the last session. We can look into it, but that's another option that's pretty much open to be looked into. I'm sorry. Okay, what else? Let's see. Okay, team territories. Okay, and account sharing. Now, now this section deep dive into specifically into accounts. Okay, I'm going to deep dive into accounts. Mm, One of the main objects and what all other options Salesforce gives out of the box to manage the visibility and sharing of the accounts. Okay, teams, extremely important thing. Okay, very quickly, teams. I would say a particular sharing process, specifically for a limited set of standard objects, including your accounts and its children, which is opportunity and cases. Okay, teams works only for these three options. That's what you have to remember. You can only create teams for three things: accounts, opportunity, and cases. Now, what it is, the record owner, okay, they can assign team members. So what I'm trying to essentially say is your account owners, for example, can create a team of members. He can pick and choose members and he can put into a team and call it as an account team. Okay, and these team members can have various roles, okay, and can have access level depending upon those roles. Okay, they can have read only. Okay, so you can have two people in the system who have a particular role. Okay, they're the analyst in the role in the account team. They're only the simple analyst on this account and they can only have the read access, whereas there would be two managers in this team which would have the read and write. And again, important thing to understand about team is these people, it as may it sound that analysts and managers and they are not teams in the actual hierarchy. Okay, in the Salesforce hierarchy, they may not be related to each other at all. When it comes to the Salesforce role hierarchy system, they may be randomly picked, okay, upon the use cases. Okay, but when I say randomly, what I mean to say is as the use case says. So I can have one person from one team whereas another person from another team. If we go back a couple of minutes before, we discussed I from India team and my counterpart, okay, from another team, say Nick from USA, would want to have access to the same account. We will create a team for that account, and I would have both of them, me and him, and his team added to that particular account. Me and him would act as manager, and the other people down the line would act as the analyst. The analyst can have read access, and we can have read and write both accesses. Okay, so that's what team is about. Outside hierarchies, if you want to collaborate with people to work on accounts, opportunities, and cases, you would use the teams there. Okay, so this is about it. Now, one good thing to understand, or a couple of things, maybe that you would want to understand about teams, you would find in interview questions, I would say, or maybe while you're making your architecture decisions about when to create team and who can create a team, who can add members. Related to that, a couple of things to keep in mind. So a team is basically, always keep in mind again, it's just a group working on account, opportunity, or case. Okay, and it's per record basically. Okay, it's per record. It cannot be like org wide account or object wide. No, per record you will create it, and it's just the people who are working on that account, opportunity, or case. They may not be related, as I said, in the hierarchy. Now again, you can give read only access and read write access, as we already spoke of. Third most important thing is owners and the users higher in hierarchy, they can add team members. Of course, system admin can. That goes without sharing. But otherwise, the owners and anybody who's above that owner of the team who has created the team or the record can add the team members there. Also, read write access members. If I made somebody as a read write access member, that person can also basically add the other members. Okay, now creating a team member creates two record in the system, a team record and also a share record. Now, when I say creating a team member creates two record in the system, team record and associated share record, please keep this statement in mind. We are going to look this next slide where you see how Salesforce governs record accessibility. This statement that I just made is going to play important role there. So again, two kind of records would be created in the system as soon as you create a team. One would be a team record, who are the members of team, and also which record is shared. Okay, so associated share record. two entries would be made in the system, and what happens, how that happens, that we will discuss over here shortly. Again, only one team per record. Okay, you cannot have more than one team per record. Again, Salesforce exceptions. If you need more, you can use programmatic sharing. Okay, you have to go through Apex. Okay, if you're going point and click, if you're using point and click, then you can only have one team per record. Okay, and also extremely important thing to understand, and a lot of people and a lot of architect I have you know seen juggling here, a steam object that we're talking about. Okay, this team that you're creating here, okay, this is not a first class object. And when I say it's not a first class object, what it means, you cannot create custom fields, validation rules, or triggers around it. Okay, you have created a team, but you cannot have triggers created around it. You cannot have validation rules around your team. So it's not that while you're trying to add a team member, you are validating something. Not possible. You cannot have custom fields to capture new information about the team. You cannot do that. It comes with some standard fields, and you have to use them in order to manage the accounts. Okay, so again, the term that we use for these kind of objects, good to know, it's called so the objects where you can create custom fields, validation rules, and trigger, they call the first class objects. Okay, and as I said, teams is not a first class object. Now let's quickly get into territories, what a territory is. So territory management is again is an account object sharing system. Okay, that this particular territories, I would say, this grants access to accounts based on characteristics of the accounts records. Okay, so you will look into the various characteristics of accounts, and then you would see, you know, how you would share it, how would you want to grant access. Okay, it is an advanced sharing strategy to extend further access to records not supported with other sharing options. Okay, like as I said, when you're exhausted with other options, nothing is coming handy to you, then you come to the territories. Okay, instead of creating endless sharing rules, try working for teams, try looking for territories. Okay, again, limited to the objects, as we said, which object you're looking to work with. Now a territory sharing, basically it only supports accounts and master detail related objects. So again, so master, any account and any other object that is in master detail relationship with the account would have this territory sharing available. Okay, that's only available for those. That's important thing to keep in mind. Now what is territory? A territory is a collection of accounts that gives a user access to the account record regardless of who owns the account record. Does not matter who owns the record. If it satisfies some conditions, you can go ahead and share it with anybody and everybody. Okay, that's what a territory is. That's a baseline of a territory based thing. Okay, now coming to the next level of it, what do you do next? So one thing does not matter, and for the first time it does not matter at all who owns the record. Okay, for the territory settings, this is the first sharing that we have seen where ownership does not matter. Now the access level is configured to grant read, okay, read write, or owner. Okay, owner like access, three kind of permissions. So grant, the grants could be of three types: read write, and owner like access to the account record in that particular territory. Account records and users can exist in multiple territories. What do I mean to say here is, I can have an account record, and I can have a territory. Or let me take a step back. What I mean to say here is, if say the creator or the owner or the actual address on that account belongs to a particular territory or physical territory, okay, that does not actually define the territory. It does not, if it belongs to, if the actual address is IST, it does not mean that's the territory of that record. No, that does not mean at all. it's not the physical territory which define the territories. It could be anything and everything. Okay. So again, looking at the time, I will show you. It's a little complex. I'll try to show you in the system how to create the territories if possible real quick. But again, I mean, just go into the system and see, explore this option, territories. Okay, so coming back to what are the major consideration or key benefits. So first, the ability to use account criteria to expand a private sharing model. Okay, so you gave an account criteria, an account which has following conditions applicable. Okay, following things applicable, more than 1 2 3 4. As we said, it's complex, that's why we could not handle it with the prior. So more than one condition you have, and if this account satisfy all these 3 4 conditions, okay, based on field values, based on other things, it satisfies. Even if it's private, you can share it. Okay, that's what the beauty of it is. The second is the support for complex and frequently changed organization structure. Why? So again, if you wanted to share your accounts with just role and hierarchies, it does happen. Accounts since being shared across the teams, across the enterprise, that's one object which is shared with everyone in the enterprise mostly. So as your designation changes, as your team changes, okay, as your location changes, still you want to own your records of at least of accounts, use territory management in that particular case. Okay, use that complex logic which is built around the territories. So that is it. A couple of consideration when you're using territories. When it is enabled, both the role hierarchy and the territory hierarchy, you have to manage the both things. Okay, so they go hand in hand. You have to keep in mind, if a record is shared through the territory hierarchy, and if you're finding it's not what you expected, please look at the role hierarchy as well. They both needs to be managed at the same time. It cannot be controlled with one. Again, territory exists only for account opportunity and the respective master detailed children side. Okay, that's what it is. Important thing to understand, the best practice is to have no more than 10 level branches in the hierarchy for the territories. You should remember that. Okay. What else? Very importantly, as applicable to the sharing rule that we will just discuss in the next, every time you change your territory, okay, every time you change your territory setting, the entire sharing setting of the system is recalculated. If you guys, how many of you guys, and I would want to have a quick look at a yes no here. How many of you have seen that message which comes at the top? The sharing settings has been, they're recalculating. You will have to wait for some time. And then an email comes into your box. How many of you have seen that? Just type yes and no. And this is what our next section is about. So that's why I'm trying to understand how many of you are familiar with this concept. Sorry. Vaishnav, can you hear me? Can someone confirm?
Yes, Neha, yes.
Okay.
We see a mix of yes and no.
Okay.
Mostly everyone has seen that because I see so many yes there.
Okay.
Yeah, no as well.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. This is what we will be discussing now. Is more about something which you might not be seeing right in front of your systems. I would say, but this is something extremely important. As most of you say yes, I'm assuming that most of you might have wondered what this message is all about. Okay, it does say it's recalculating, but what exactly is that, and how does that happen? If anyone has given it a thought, if anyone has looked into it so far, ever, just quickly wanted to see anyone has any idea about it. I know I see most of yes, but I felt inquisitive when I first saw that message, what that recalculation is about. Okay, anyways, so the next thing, since we have looked into most of this already, uh, before getting into any other topic, and I don't want to miss on this particular one, anything and everything you would find easily on other website and other tutorials. But what I'm going to talk about now is something which you would not find being discussed every other place. There would be several sharing rules in your system. You would have set up the territories, you would have set up your OWDs, and every time you do make a change, you see a message coming up. Okay, the sharing rules are recalculating. Okay, and that's really confusing, and that's sometimes frustrating because you keep waiting on what's happening, and you want to test your things, you want to see how it's going to behave, is it working fine or not. But unless you receive that email or that message is gone off your screen, you cannot proceed. Okay, what that message is about and how it is important is something, as an architect, as an admin also, okay, you need to understand that this is extremely important to understand. Okay, so basically what happens in the system, Salesforce uses certain tables. Okay, I would say record access calculations, it uses. So this, if you see your record access calculation and access grants, it uses these two, I would say, two factors, or I would say these two things. How to summarize it, I don't know, but these two important factors or these two important things it uses to determine or govern the record accessibility. Okay, we have seen there could be so many sharing rules. As I said, there could be a number of sharing rules in the system. Okay, there could be a number of manual sharings in the system. Okay, and now when a user attempts to open a record or he tries to run a report, access a list view, anyways, okay, or search a record in the search bar, every time, do you think it's feasible that every time Salesforce go and checks whether this person has an access, it calculates, it goes and looks at, what's the profile settings, now that goes to see OWD, okay, now that goes and see what is the sharing rule, okay, and then he looks what groups this person belongs to. It would be very, very, it will be, the performance is going to be very, very poor in that case. If that happens in real time, that's not ideal, I would say. Okay, and what Salesforce uses to resolve this issue, because it has such a complex and a very, very beautiful, I would say, sharing and visibility architecture in place, what it does, it calculates all this and it stores in various tables. Okay, everything, every information, who owns the record, who can access the record, which group a person belongs to, so that whenever a record is accessed with the group, that person also implicitly gets the access of that particular record. That everything of that sort of things are actually stored in three tables. Precisely in three tables, Salesforce can accommodate all of this. Okay, it's never calculated on the fly. So that's why every time you change your sharing settings at any level, it just go ahead, recalculates everything and stores in that table. Okay, that's how your performance goes better. If it has to do it every time, see, calculating those rules itself takes so much of time. If you believe for each and every record while you try to access, if Salesforce would have calculated that at runtime, it would have been such a pain for users. Okay, the access or performance would be extremely low. So what are these three tables? I will get into it, but quickly 2 minutes to see what are the different access grants, okay, Salesforce can give a person to. Okay, so there are basically four type of grants. One is the explicit grants, and explicit grants we have been discussing so far. Whatever we have discussed so far, whether you're creating the sharing rules, whether you're creating the territory assignments, whether you're creating your assignment rules, you're manually sharing something with the person, okay, you're programmatically sharing something. Whenever you are explicitly sharing something with someone, okay, that is your explicitly grant. You're explicitly granting access. So first kind of grant that Salesforce has an explicit grant. The other kind of grant is a group membership grant. Okay, what happens? You become a member of a group, okay, and then group gets an access on something. Okay, so that's where the group membership grants comes into the picture. The third one would be the inherited grants. What is an inherited grants? So grants that occur when a user or maybe a person or public group queue or a role uh, gives you access to something. Okay, that is an inherited grant. So you a person maybe a public group got an access, through to that you got an access. A role got an access, that's why you got an access. A queue got an access, that's why you got an access. These are the inherited grants. You have inherited those grants. Those records are not directly shared with you. You got an inherited grant on it. Okay, inheritedly you got it. So maybe your grandparent gave money to your entire family, and as being part of that family tree you got some share of it. Okay, that's what inherited grant is all about. And then comes the implicit grants. We did discuss in the last session that implicit is when you have access to the parent, you get access to the children. Okay, that opens up. So that's what your implicit grants. It's something which is not given to you explicitly through either explicit group membership or inherited grants, but you get it implicitly because you had access to your parents. Okay, maybe one example. So that's what implicit grants. So 4 kind of grants, and quickly, very, very quickly, the tables that I was talking about. So Salesforce does use 3 tables, as I say. Okay, whenever you share any record with anyone by any means that we have discussed so far in 2 sessions, okay, every of that details is stored precisely in just 3 tables. Okay, that beautiful architecture Salesforce has. So first table is object record table. Okay, what does that have? This object record table, very plain. Okay, it just maintains who owns this particular record. Basic. Okay, object record table, first one. This is the table that stores the records of a specific object and indicates which user or group or queue owns each record. Simple. Who's the owner? Okay. Then comes the group maintenance tables. So group maintenance tables, again, or rather, let me share the object sharing table first. That would make the things easier. Object sharing tables, what's that? In the chain. So tables that store the data that support explicit and implicit grants. Okay, we did talk about 2 other type of grants, explicit grants and implicit grants. So whenever a person gets an access through implicit grants or explicit grants, okay, either by the sharing rules or anything that you have created, or through the role hierarchy, or through maybe the parent-child relationship, any of those sorts. Again, if a person gets access, object sharing tables gets an entry for that kind of a thing. Okay, and then the last one is as simple as that, group maintenance tables. Okay, so whenever a person is entered into a group, he becomes the part of a group. Okay, that kind of an entry goes into a group maintenance table. Okay, so simple. How would now, in very, very simple step, 3, I would say 5 simple steps, Salesforce would be able to determine how to assess which user have access to the record while he is trying to access it. First, it checks whether a profile, permission set, or OWD setting already gives the user the level of access requested. Second, if the user does not have the level of access, the system queries the object share table that we just discussed of, okay, the ownership table, to see if there is a row in which the record ID, okay, and the user ID appears. As simple as that. If there is a row for this record that this guy is trying to access, okay, this user owns it, you don't need to check anything else, right? He owns it, let him have it. There is nothing which would stop this person to have it. The next thing, okay, you did not find the row directly there. What would you do then? Next, it queries the group membership table to identify all groups that could provide access to the user. Okay, so maybe this user does not have direct access, but looking at the group, okay, there was a group which existed. This person was part of that group and that group has access. Okay, give him the access. Salesforce would say, okay, he can see it. If even that doesn't work out, what happens next? It then scans the object share table. Okay, the object share table, the second table that I spoke about, explicit and implicit. Okay, then it will go and look at that particular table to see if there is a row which is explicitly, okay, if there is a sharing rule which is giving access, okay, or maybe a manual sharing which is giving it access, or maybe through Apex you gave it an access. Okay, it looks there. If yes, there is an entry, it will give access to it. And finally, it compares the level of access granted to the user, okay, or the group. Whatever is more broader, I would say least restrictive, that access is given to that person. Okay, maybe what I'm trying to say here in the last is, maybe you found 2 entries where this person has an access through sharing rule, okay, directly through a sharing rule, and maybe through a group. Okay, so what happens if this person has this conflicting thing? Okay, what happens? Whatever is less restrictive, has more visibility, would be last shown to this person. That's what we're trying to say. If there's a conflict, if there's a double entry, then it will show whatever is least restrictive. Okay, that's what it is about. I think this is it. Here is what I would want to wrap up. And while we are closing this and we're moving to Kahoot, just one thing, guys. I'm really sorry I wasn't in a very healthy state today. But I would want to see, maybe in the next session, I'm going to cover the external user sharing. But anything that we have looked so far, if you want to see how it works in Salesforce. Okay, maybe just type it here on your chat. We can have a look at it later. And we would try to accommodate whichever is requested most. I can have maximum one demo looking at the time constraints. Explicit sharing, or sorry, external user sharing is not going to take much time. We can have one demo, but what that demo is going to be around, I would want to govern it through you guys. So we will have a hands-on definitely in the next session, but which topic you decided, just ping it to us, whatever you want. Let Vishal know, and I can collaborate with Vishal and see what we would want to do. Okay, anything that we have studied so far that you want to see inside Salesforce, how it works, you want to have our hands on. That's what we would want to do there, or focus in the next session. So that's a wrap up from my side. Thank you so much, guys, for being so supportive today. Thank you.
Thanks, Neha. And we have some questions, so I'll just read out for them, and you can answer them.
Just 1 second. I would want to open the chat window. I'm having
Sure.
some, my bad, due to some health constraints, my hearing capabilities are also affected. I may sound like a very old person today, behaving odd, but yeah. Quickly then. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a question from Harsh. So he's asking the difference between read and view all.
Read and view all.
Yeah.
Okay. We did discuss, Harsh. Thank you for asking that question, but I'll try to answer this precisely. I would again recommend you go back to the last session and have try to view that recording that had lot more details than this. I definitely would say, but to be very precise, when you have read permission, okay, on your profile, it means you can read your own record, the one that you created. Okay. Whereas if you have view all, you can read any other record in the system for that particular object. It's open for every record. It's not just open for your own created record. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, and we have a next question from Srinath. Like he's asking, like, for say we have HR manager has view all on
Hmm?
project object,
Hmm?
then he can view all the records of this object, right?
Hmm?
That's it. It's a clarification, I guess.
Yes, that is absolutely true.
Okay. Next, we have a question from Anish. He's asking, can you please repeat about price object, or is it about price book?
Hmm, what was it about? I'm sorry. If you could just remind me, meanwhile we take other question. What was it that I'm not really sure what the question is around.
Okay. If Anish, you are there in the session, can please unmute yourself and
Or maybe
yeah,
he can type, we can take the other question and come back to
yeah,
this one.
yeah, sure. Um, okay, we have the next question. Like, when record is owned by queue or group, do all users get ownership-based privileges?
Repeat that, Vaishnav, please.
When record is owned by queue or group, do all users get ownership-based privileges?
Yes.
Okay. Next, coming to next one. Territory. Will that share child record or only child where account is master?
No, that's going to check. So basically, when you create your Teradata in your account, that's going to have access to your account and to your child as well.
Yeah, okay. We have only 5 questions in today's session. So can we move to the next session? Next section, like Kahoot.
Yes, yes, we can. And did we get the question
Yeah,
about the
yes.
price?
Yeah. Anish has typed something in the chat. If the person above role has only read access. Anish, can you please repeat that question again, like with this one about the price book and all price object?
Price object. Which topic was that? If you could just remind me. I mean, there are a lot of things that we discussed.
Neha, let me give Anish the. Let me unmute Anish just a minute.
Like price book OWD settings, I guess.
Anish, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
Anish, you can ask your question directly now.
Yeah, it was a general question under OWD regarding the price
Mhm.
book object, how that access is defined. When you spoke about the master detail, I mean, I know details won't be available. So I missed that part. You talked about something about price. I was assuming that you were saying about price book.
Price book. No, I think I did not speak about price book. I totally don't remember that, but I did mention some exceptions there. So I mentioned that basically you have your private, you have public read only, you have public read write. But when it comes to cases and leads, you have one more option, which is your public read write transfer. And also when you have campaigns, in that particular case, maybe campaigns is what you might have heard about. So campaign is basically where you get one more option, which is public full access and view only. That's something extra that you get in OWDs. Price, there is nothing explicit that I shared there. Vaishnav, can you hear me still? Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, Neha, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
sorry, I was
Maybe
on
what
mute.
we can do is, when we are going back, or maybe we are hearing the recordings, I can see what it was about the price and I can try. But OWD, there was nothing that we mentioned there.
Yeah. So I see no questions coming up. Okay, then we are moving into Kahoot now. Okay, let me share my screen. Neha, can you stop your screen now?
Yeah, I can. Sorry.
Okay, let me share my screen.
In the meanwhile, Vaishnav is sharing his screen and we are going to start the Kahoot. Let me clear the rules about the Kahoot. Those winners who who was the winner in first session are eligible to take part in the Kahoot, but they won't be considered if they get winner in this session also. So they can take part in this session, but they won't be considered if they get win in this session.
Okay, so please everyone log in to www.kahoot.it uh, and you can enter the pin there. I'll share the pin in the chat box. What's the chat? Okay. Okay, I see people joining fast. I guess everyone is waiting for Kahoot. Like, what are the questions, different kind of questions they'll get to answer and experience.
Guys, please join as soon as possible. We will start the Kahoot in next 30 seconds.
So we have 40 participants, excluding Vithi, we have 4 to join.
Guys, if you are facing any problem in joining Kahoot, just please let us know. So we can wait for you. Otherwise, if we didn't get any query or ask from your side, we will be good to start our Kahoot.
Mm,
Is anyone facing any issue? Vaishnav, I think we are good to start the Kahoot. We are
yeah,
not getting
sure.
any queries. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
sure.
proceed.
I'm locking the Kahoot and here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. And here's your first question. View all and modify all object level permissions. Ignore sharing roles. True or false? So fast. And here are the results. So yeah, 22 have answered it right. Let's see the leaderboard who is in the first place. Ashish Kumar in the first place and Jagdeep and Prashant Gupta followed by them. Okay, let us move to the second one. What is used to specify the objects and fields users can access? Permission set and profiles, sharing rules, org defaults, all the above. Mhm. Yeah. So the answer is permission sets and profiles. So let's see the leaderboard. We have Santosh, Anish, and Rishabh on top 3 positions. The third one, does role hierarchy override OWD settings? True or false? Yeah, so answer is true. And let's see the leaderboard. Santosh, Rishabh, and Bharat Kumar. It's continuously changing. The fourth question, view all and modify all object permissions, override sharing roles. True or false? So answer is true. And let's see the leaderboard. Still the same thing. Santosh, Rishabh, and Bharat. The next question. What wins when object level settings, profiles, or permission set conflict with record level settings, roles, and sharing roles? Object level settings, record level settings, more restrictive, more open. So let's see the answer. What is the right answer for this question? And the answer is more restrictive. We have only 6 people answered it correct. And let's see the leaderboard. Santosh, Gautam, and Rishabh. Going good. What are the types of sharing rules? Ownership based, criteria based, condition based, all the above. Okay. And the answer is A and B, like ownership based and criteria based. So everyone thought it's all the above, like condition based as well. So let's see the leaderboard. The same thing. Santosh, Gautam, and Rishabh. So moving on to the next question. What are some ways to secure record access so it does not roll up to people higher in the hierarchy? Create custom object and disable granting access using role hierarchy, encrypt sensitive fields, set OWT to private, all the above. And the right answers are create custom object and disable granting access during role hierarchy and encrypt sensitive fields. And this is a board. Santosh, Gautam, and Rishabh. Gautam is on fire. Okay, who can grant access to a record? The record owner, a user in role above the owner in the hierarchy, any user granted full access to the record, all the above. So yeah, so we have 15 right answers, that is all the above. And let's see the board. Santosh, Gautam, and Bharat. Going good. And the last side. Manual shares are available in Lightning Experience for account, cases, and opportunities, contacts and leads, custom objects, all the above. Great, all the above is the answer. And moving on, Gautam has moved to the first place, Bharat in second, and Shubham Shah at third. Shubham is on fire. And here comes the last question. What can you not encrypt using Shield in Salesforce? Standard fields, files and attachments, fields that have the unique or external ID attributes, custom metadata. Great. We have less right answers. And the right answer field that have the unique or external ID attributes and custom metadata. So here's the podium, and who stands first? Who third? In the third place we have Bharat. The second place we have Anish, and in the first place we have Gautam. Congratulations, winners! And the runners are Sumant and Shubham. Okay.
Yeah.
Like people like which session, like on what topic you would like to have a demo, please ping it in the chat box so that we'll take them and we'll sorry.
Yeah, maybe just type in what do you want to see. Maybe I can what we can do, we can directly create matrix that I just showed you. Maybe take
Yeah,
another example and we create it right in front of you. Territories and external sharing. Yeah, I also wanted to take territories. It's very difficult to explain territories and understand territories verbally. So that's a good topic. I agree to what whosoever said territories. Verbally, it's difficult to understand, considering that most of you guys have never seen territories.
yeah. So we have three inputs, like 3 to 4 inputs. Everyone is asking about territories only.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Vaishnav, can you please take the email ID of both the winners?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So thank you so much everyone for joining today's session, and thank you so much Neha for such an amazing and wonderful session. I know it is very tough for you to deliver this kind of session because you are suffering from high fever, and kudos to you, all your efforts you are doing for the Trailblazer community, the Salesforce HANA. Kudos to you.
Thank you so much for joining in. Appreciating so much, guys. I mean, you guys joining in and saying that you liked it. That makes my day. So I'm already feeling -5, whatever I was. So yeah, 102 -5 now. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Neha.